Ilene Sova's portraits portray women the way their families remembered them, beautiful and vibrant, before they vanished without a trace. The paintings belong to Sova's Missing Women project and feature the faces of people she says the media has long forgotten about. Ilene joins me now. And look at the portraits of these women. Tell me more about why you did this.
When I was in university, I had two close girlfriends who ended up in violent relationships, and it was quite disturbing to me. And as an artist, I think we always like to do paintings or do artwork about things that are happening in our life, things that concern us. And so I started thinking about how can I work through the feelings I was having about my girlfriends being in these relationships through my artwork, and how can I discuss how I'm feeling about it or express how I'm feeling about it. But I didn't want to sensationalize violence. I think that in the media there's already a lot of violence against women in horror movies and even on TV and murder shows. I didn't want to do that, so I came across the Missing Persons Database, the OPP Missing Persons Database, and I thought that when I saw these beautiful photographs of these women, who some I had never seen before, even some who were from the area where I grew up and went missing when I was a teenager, I'd never heard about. I thought this would be a wonderful way to address the violence, but also monumentalize those women in a beautiful way.
I was having a conversation just the other day about how when there are high-profile cases, or usually any cases at all, that the victims are almost forgotten, that we hardly ever hear the names of the victims, but we know the perpetrators' names so very well. So what you're doing here is almost along those lines, saying that these people live lives that are worth something and they're more than just a headline. Let's start with the first portrait, if we might, Ilene. Her name, Amber Potts. Tell us about her.
So Amber Potts went missing in 1988, and she was 16 years old. So before each painting I did a lot of research in the Canada Newsstand database and the microfiches, like the library microfiches. And I learned everything I could about each case so that I knew something about the woman before I painted them. And Amber Potts was what the police would call an endangered runaway. So she was staying with friends in a hotel in Etobicoke, and she vanished. Now, her friends and family say she left her backpack there. She always kept in touch with everyone, and they really believe that foul play has happened to her. But because she was an endangered runaway and a marginalized person, her case was not taken seriously, and she didn't get any media attention.
Yeah. Another case that drew your attention, Marianne Miner.
So Marianne Miner is another marginalized woman. So when I was researching this series, I really clearly saw a kind of hierarchy of women. So in the media, what you have is the white, middle-class, educated woman is kind of at the top of that hierarchy, particularly if they're beautiful. They get lots of media attention. And at the bottom of that hierarchy are sex workers, mentally ill, drug addicted, endangered runaway. Women of color are not included in the database or in the media coverage of missing people, which was quite jarring to find out. So Marianne Miner is someone who was suffering mental illness. She was at a mental hospital in St. Thomas. And all it says in the database is that Marianne was on her way to the canteen and disappeared.
That's it.
And there's no news stories on her case.
Third woman, Lisa Maas.
So Lisa Maas was, went missing in 1988, and she was 22 years old, and she was 5 months pregnant when she went missing. She was at a party with friends, and she left with a male companion to go back to his house and retrieve her car. And the next day, they found her empty car on the farmers have these tractor trails that go into the fields. So her car was found there, and her identification was found maybe one road over or one concession over, and she's never been heard from again. Also someone who had very close contact with her family, had a wonderful group of friends, very popular, and has never been found.
And her family actually came down to see your exhibit, right?
Yes, they did. They're very supportive of the project, and last week was Lisa Maas's birthday, last Wednesday, so they came on her birthday as a kind of commemoration of her life to see the portrait, and they spent about an hour and a half with the exhibit, and we're quite pleased because they're people who really think about missing women a lot, obviously, and they like the fact that this is a way to bring attention to the case through art, which is quite unique.
And as I understand, this case has been reopened.
Well, recently the police had a tip, and in Owen Sound is where she went missing, and they had been digging along the lake shore for the possibility of finding remains. I'm not sure what the tip was. It's secret.
Yes.
But yeah, there's been recent developments in her case.
Eileen, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's amazing. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for giving me a voice.
The Missing Women Project exhibit runs through March 19th at Toronto's Creative Blueprint Gallery. For more details, visit our website, canadaam.ctvnews.ca. We'll be right back.